Hello, this is Jennifer from Aster Anne, and today we are going to be embellishing our Grace Tote. Our Grace Tote is a fabulous bag. It is one that you can use for, lots of different things. You can take it to work every day, you can dress it up and have it as a bag to go along with all kinds of different outfits. So one of my absolute favorites and one of my very first designs as well. So our Grace Tote comes like this. We have the eyelets already, or grommets already pre-punched in there. We have a zipper pocket already inserted as well. And we have a gusset piece like this. And then we have leather handles that snap on onto our eyelets or grommets. We have a magnetic closure and also some pins and needles. A magnetic closure and not forgetting some instructions on how to put it all together. And today I have decided to do what I call a Kawandi inspired embellishing. So if you're not familiar with the term Kawandi, it is traditionally done by the Indian Siddhi and African women, where they do all of their quilting from a set size that they start off with, and that's where our kits really lend themselves to this style of work. So they would take a quilt that would be whatever size, and you work from the outside, adding in layers and getting into the center, and then you're creating your quilt. So kind of a quilt as you go sort of thing, and generally done with a running stitch, like a borrow kind of stitch. But I've done this one, or we're doing this one today. We're going to do it by machine, and it's my version. So with Kawandi, it's a little different to borrow. So borrow, you tend to have raw edges and you're layering it out and then stitching through that. Kawandi is still stitching through it, but you turn under the edges, and you turn under one edge as you go. So once we get started, you'll see a bit more about how that actually works. And with Kawandi, a bit like borrow, we only need small pieces. So I've got 16 pieces at 16 centimeters by 13.5 centimeters, and I'm going to cut them into quarters, and they're going to be my fabrics that I'm going to use. Okay. And something that I often say to people is that if you're unsure about what you're doing, sometimes best to start with the back rather than the front. So it's if you want to have a practice on something, sometimes it's good to start on the back first and then go and do it onto the front. So we might, I'll do it on the back so I can show you how to work around the pocket. So we're just going to, I'll mix up these a bit, because we really do want random pieces of fabric. So maybe we'll just start here. So to start off with, we need to just hand press this seam under, because that's where we're going to start there on the side. And we also need to turn this one under. So the first one does require 2 seams to be folded over, or under rather. So get a little hand press. And we're just going to work around the eyelet a little bit, or grommet, sorry. And we're staying in about 5-6 millimeters from the edge there, because we will be obviously stitching our Grace Tote together later. So I'll just pop a pin in here. And then the next one that we will be doing is we want to do this around the eyelet. So this one again will require 2 turn unders. The start is the most prep, and then you just keep working in. So same kind of thing, we're just allowing a little bit of space around the grommet there. And pin, so you can get the idea on what we're doing because with this one we've covered over that raw edge, and we'll be doing the same with this next one. We're covering over there. We don't have to pin them precisely, this is just to give us an idea on the outside layout. We'll pin there. We'll do another one. So that's our rough layout ready to stitch, and I guess you're getting the idea. On the next layer we just keep going around. So I'll get the machine out so that we can start stitching and you can see how it all works. Okay, now we're back and I've got my machine almost set up. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the thread that I'm using. I'm using Fruity thread, which is a 12 weight Egyptian long staple cotton thread. I'm going with Fruity. It's got, this one is colour 41 and it has just a subtle variegation to it, which I kind of like. So I will thread up the machine. The other thing, I'm using a top stitch size 14 needle. Because we're using a 12 weight thread, we need to have the needle, needle eye to be a little bigger so that the thread has got some room. Thread is ready. I have deco bob in my bobbin as well. So starting off, I'm not going to do that side seam because when we come back later and stitching this one on, I will finish off the side seam. So I'm going to start on the top here. And I'm also going to do a stitch length of 3. I think it's kind of like my favorite stitch length, but that's where I'm going because again, we want the thread to stand out. And so get started here. Hopefully, all right, there we go. Just back a little. And we are just going to work our way through. And I'm mindful, I'm keeping an eye on the pocket underneath. I did say that we were doing the back and working around the pocket to start with. The other thing I should mention is that I have an open toe foot on the machine here because I like to see where my needle is going to go. Again, you can see the little bit of prep that we've done with the finger pressing underneath. Actually makes it a little easier when we come to this point here. So we're going to work around the grommets, eyelets, and just work our way around the outside. I think one more stitch, got it. And pivoting around, and then we'll do across here. Get our next piece ready. So we're just overlapping over that piece that we have down first. I like to use, you can see my pin as an extra longer finger pointer, if you like, just to hold the fabric down in place. And this one is where we need to do a little bit of a seam on both sides. So just carefully there. And we'll turn under this other side a little as well. Okay, if you happen to have a machine where you can have the needle down function, it's a really big help. The next one ready. So you can see that we really are just placing each piece of fabric over the top of the previous one. So no raw edges. And just covering it over that way. All right. Our curve is done. And now back to doing the straighter part. So turning under. There we go. Okay, I'm going to stop that there and show you. Traditionally, the city quilts, you would just keep going around in one row without actually stopping and coming off. But we're going to start again and we'll go through, and I'm just going to stitch across all the way across here. So keep in mind I have my pocket on the other side. So I'm going to stitch across here so that we join up that line. I will do another line across here later, but this now is going to become our area that we're going to work around. Pop the zipper pull out of the way on that side and we will stitch across. I can feel underneath where the pocket actually is, and so I know that I'm not going to have that in the way. A little bit of back stitch. I like to use my, as you could see before, use my pins as my little extra helper. Sometimes if the fabric moves at all, you can just pop the pin there just to hold it down. My bobbin is about to run out. Oh, or rather it has run out, so we'll finish there. And I need to rewind a bobbin, but as you can see, that is side one of our Kawandi inspired Grace Tote. Looking pretty good, and you can see that's relatively easy to do. So the felt base really does lend itself to a lot of techniques, and this is one that works really, really well. All right, so here we go. I've got the front side now, or the other side of our Grace Tote prepped, and I'm just going to start stitching around as before. At least this time we don't need to worry about the pocket on the other side, so we're just going to stitch through. I will go all the way around again as before and come back and do this little section here. So let's get started. Just go back a little there. Okay, so we have our front and back pieces done for our Grace Tote, and I've decided that I want to do some stenciling on the gusset panel. I'm not going to do some more of the Kawandi style embellishing, so I'm going to create an interesting looking gusset, and we'll do some stenciling. I have this honeycomb hexagon kind of stencil that I'm going to use, and I really like the blue that we've got going through here, so I'm going to do a blue side gusset. Something that I have told people before is that if you're a little unsure as to what something's going to look like, do it on the inside. So have a little dabble maybe on the inside where no one's going to see, and see what you think it's going to look like. I'm using some paint, this is a textile paint, so that's acrylic from my friends at Artistic Artifacts. I'm going to do some blues, as I said. I've got this a pearlized one and a matte one, and I've got some white, so we will have a try and see what we look like. Okay, so I have placed my stencil, I'm placing it here. I'm looking at where I'm placing it. I want it to be in the middle, so that's what I have done there. And the stenciling is a whole lot of fun, so if you've never had a go, this is the perfect place to have a go. It really can be a whole lot of fun, and I don't know, you're creating your own interesting background. So in my experimenting and having a go at different things, I often like to put a little bit of white down first and then put the colour on top. So dab in, and we can just kind of wipe, dab around. You don't want to lift the stencil up, so you're kind of holding it down at the same time. And yep, see, that moved. Holding it down. Don't be afraid to get your fingers a little dirty. The paint washes off. Alright, so that's my white in the background. Now I'm just going to go with a little bit of blue, and depending on how dark I want it to be, I can put just some more bold blue where we haven't put the white. It is surprising how much paint the felt does absorb. So you do need a bit, so keep that in mind. Oh, look at that. This is a little bit of a pearlescent one that I'm putting over the top. That's a nice rich colour. So obviously the colour that you put on last is the bit that you're going to see. So I think I might highlight it with a bit more of the pearlescent on the top, my top coat, so to speak. And then put a little bit more white. Once you have got some paint on there, the stencil does tend to just sit by itself. I'm not sure if you can see, I'm kind of just doing this little bit of a circular kind of motion, making sure that we've got the paint sort of into the felty fibres. And now I'm going to pick up this stencil, and where these have been covered over, I want to fill those in. Decided I want to have my whole thing coloured. So now I've got these grey spots that you can see, and I think I'll just pop in some of this gorgeous pearlescent over the top there. Looking pretty good. Let's have a look. Look at that. How easy was that, huh? Pretty amazing. I'm going to do the other side of our Grace Tote gusset before I move on and do the centre. So stencil again, and looking once again in the middle. So again, white in the background. I'm going to move my sponge around just a little bit because I do want the white to be in the background, not the kind of blued white. Okay, now go back to popping on some of the blue. You can see how I'm squeezing the sponge too, so just squeeze it. I don't like to use it flat. When it's squeezed like that, you've got a bit more control over what you're doing. And why I like to put the white down first is that you do get that sort of kind of, I guess, a vintagey, rusticy kind of look with the white underneath first. Okay, there's that. So we'll just reposition the stencil again and do this metallic colour, which is really rather yummy. That metallic gives it a really nice dark hue there. And the reason why I have done that way and then that way and then the middle is that this middle part is the gusset, is the base, and the bit that you're really not going to be looking at too much. So there we go. There is our stenciling. Not hard and didn't take too long. Bit of fun. Yes, my fingers are a little dirty, but that's okay. I don't mind that. So we're going to let this to dry now, and then when we come back, we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so here we are with our gusset piece. It's all nice and dry. I like to iron the paint so we can just heat set it. So you can use freezer paper or baking paper, parchment paper, those kind of things, and we're really just wanting just to heat set it. So just a bit of an iron over. So you can tell the area once you have ironed it as well, because it ends up being a little bit smoother. Okay, so here we are back now. We've got just a couple of little finishing touches before we assemble our Grace Tote, which is going to come together really, really quickly. So two things. We need to stitch on our magnetic closure on the insides, and no little Kawandi or Kawandi quilt is finished without putting a little fabric flower on it. So we're going to make a couple of little things just to stitch on here. But first of all, I will do the magnetic closure. And again, I'm going to hand sew on just because I don't want to go through the other side to show the stitching. So I'll talk you through a way of being able to do it so that you can't see. So I've marked the center of our Grace Tote, and I'm going to put it, you know, we're really looking at the center, halfway between the eyelets or the grommets, and just going to be down in about 1 centimetre ish, around that sort of area. As I like to do, I'm going to put my needle into the felt part of the way through and come up, pin away, and now I'm doing the holes. Now this is where it gets a little on the tricky side. So instead of going in and out, we're going into the next hole here, and then I'm going to come through the felt. So I'm coming out a bit further away. I still want to have a needle with a fairly big eye, so I'm sticking with this. Then come up there and back in and back close to where we came from initially. And you can feel going through the middle of the felt. Back up. And in. So we're just going to work our way around that way. So it's just going through the middle of the felt. And for this one, I'm going to do, still going to go through every hole, but I'm not going to have I'm going to be doing like every second kind of stitch, if that makes sense. So go back this way. I'm going this one. That's my magnetic closure on that side. Do a knot. So pulling it close in there, and then taking the thread through the middle there, pull that out and cut that away. There's one done. So I'll just do the other side and done. So there we are, those bits are done. Now we just need to stitch. Oh, sorry, no, we've got to do these little fabric flowers, sorry. I need back to using the thread that we used to stitch our Kawandi down. And to do these little fabric flowers, so you want to choose 4 prints to put somewhere. So with these we want a square, so I'm just going to make a square. Put that away, and it's very simple. Just so we're folding in half to have a triangle, and then we're just folding down that way. And these are called with Kawandi fuller. It's the little thing, most of the quilts they would put these in the little corners, so I'm just popping them here on the top of our Grace Tote to add a little finishing touch to them. Guess we could do these by machine, but I'm here with the thread in my hand, so you know it's kind of, it is a bit of an eeny meeny, whatever you prefer. I'm mindful of when we're stitching our Grace Tote together, so afterwards we might just need to pop a pin in there to hold it down. So up. I'm making this look a little more difficult than it actually is, but I'll just tie that off there, and I will bury my thread as I do. That. And later I'll come back and I'll bury the other one as well. So 3 more of these to do. All right, our little fusilli flowers are done. And now before I bring up the machine, I'm just going to show you with getting our gusset ready to stitch on to our Grace Tote. So I do have little nicks, a little notch in there to show us where the center is. And just double check. Yep, there's center here. So we'll pop some pins in, and I work this the gusset piece onto the Grace Tote, not the other way around. So we're going to be stitching. I'll bring this a little closer to me. So obviously we're just lining up the top. I am making sure that I'm not catching our little flower, and I think just to be super safe, pop a pin in here just to hold it out of the way. What we're wanting to do here is we're easing the fabric around onto the Grace Tote body. Pins, and then I like to go to the other side and do it and then work backwards. I find it to be much easier to manipulate the gusset than I do the body. So by doing it this way, we can get this out of the way like that. All right, here we are, ready to stitch our Grace Tote together. So I've pinned it, as we've seen, and that's all good to go. I've opted to do this grey colour in the home deck thread because I've decided I really don't want my thread to stand out where I'm stitching it together. So we're going to go with one that's going to blend in, and I will try not to get too much of our embellishing, but if I do, it's okay. So I'm just going to do a narrow seam. I've put the same thread in the bobbin as well, so with same top and bottom. And this one I have used, it's a 60 weight home deck thread, so it's strong. And we're just starting up the machine again. So we're going to do it a bit longer than, we'll go 2.8 I think for our side seam here. And you can feel just marrying the sides. And really, once you've stenciled, no problems at all with stitching through the paint. Really easy. And even like stenciling, obviously it's not making it too stiff or anything like that, which is really good. So just ease around the corners. where I tend to just have a little scrunch, if you like, scrunch in that fabric around as we go around the corner. Let's see, around, and then we get a little straight bit. Look at that. That's one side done. And it looks pretty darn good. Well, I think it does. So now we just need to do the other side and then we'll be snapping on our handles. Okay, so here we go. Here is our Grace Tote all put together. And you can see that was pretty painless actually doing those side seams. And there's, you can see our magnetic closure all nicely done. And it just comes together beautifully. So Grace Tote, last thing to do, snap on our handles. I have done them so that we have two handles this way, but if you wanted to have just one strap, that's why we have the eyelets or grommets on there. You can do that if you prefer. But I'm going to put them on as I'm doing the two handles. And do them like this. So they've really just got these great little, you push them in and pop them on. How easy is that, huh? And this side. And there. And one Grace Tote, which looks really cool. So just going over the thread that we used, which was this gorgeous fruity thread. Try saying that fast. Fruity thread, which is the 12 weight, which has given us this really nice bold look here. I love that look. And then we've used the home deck to do the side seams. But before I finish, just wanted to show you a couple of other things that you can do with your Grace Tote. And the fact that you can line them. So if you so desire, you can line your Grace Tote. But this one I have done with obviously lots of hexagons. And then I have matchstick quilted across it all and given some extra definition and things that way. So there's that one. And if you have enjoyed doing some stenciling, you can go all out and do more stenciling. So you can do the front and the back. And this one, I've had a lot of fun doing some things with some different types of thread in there. And this one, again with the stenciling, but I have embellished the front and the back and also the side gussets. So many things that you can do with them, and really that's where you have the time playing. And as I said before, they're designed by us but made by you. You can do whatever you like, but really simple construction. So thank you so much for watching and taking the time to do so. And don't forget, if you want to see more ideas, you can follow Aster and Anne on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and of course YouTube, TikTok, and I don't know, all the places. Just search Aster and Anne and you will find us. You can certainly see more inspiration on our website as well, which is www.asterandanne.com.au. So thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to do that like and subscribe thing. So thank you.
Thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more great tips, tricks, and tutorials. You can also sign up for our weekly newsletter to get the first look at free projects, sewing tips, and inspiring tutorials delivered right to your inbox. Check out the description box below to sign up, as well as find a list of stores and retailers that you can purchase WonderFil threads from in your country.